Hello and welcome to Daily Politics, reaching you from Trust TV here in Abuja. On this program, we discuss issues around politics, policy, and governance. My name is Suleiman. Last week, lawmakers in the Zamfara State House of Assembly impeached the Deputy Governor of the state, Barrister Mahadi Aliyu Gusau. At plenary last Wednesday, 20 out of 24 members voted for the impeachment of the Deputy Governor after the report submitted by a judicial panel of investigation found him guilty of allegations of, quote, abuse of office, criminal self-enrichment using public funds, and failure to discharge official duties, unquote. Gusau has denied the allegations, of course, but he did not appear before the panel. Also, his party, the PDP, has condemned the impeachment as illegal and unconstitutional, and they have threatened to go to court. Meanwhile, a new deputy governor, Senator Muhammad Nasiha, was nominated, screened, and confirmed within hours on the same day by the same State House of Assembly. So tonight, we are asking, what is the politics of this impeachment? Who benefits and who loses? And where does all of this leave the ordinary citizens of Zamfara State? With me to discuss these issues is a man who has been part of it all and yet has been above it all. Mukhtar Shehu Idris is an administrator and politician. He was the APC governor-elect of Zamfara State in the 2019 election. Before just 5 days to his inauguration, the Supreme Court annulled the election and ordered INEC to declare all runners-up in the election as winners. That's how the PDP and Governor Bello Matawale and the deputy governor impeached, that's how they came to power. But before we go on, let's take just a few seconds of break. And when we return, we'll continue this discussion with Malam Mukhtar Shehu Idris. Stay with us. Welcome back. This is Daily Politics on Trust TV, and we're discussing issues around the impeachment in Zamfara State. We'll be talking about the legality of it, the politics of it, and where does that leave the ordinary citizens as we head towards a new election next year. With me is Malam Mukhtar Shehu Idris, a one-time governor-elect in the state. So, sir, as we said in the intro there, is it possible to say that this all started from the annulment of your election by the Supreme Court?
Well, thank you very much for having me here. It's a wonderful opportunity for me to have this interaction and for people in the Nigeria, in Zamfara in particular, to look at what happened maybe 2019 to date. What is happening in Zamfara didn't come as a surprise. And maybe I need to take you back a bit. Okay. What happened during the primaries. When 2018, October, that was when the primaries took place. If you can remember.
Primaries of which party?
APC.
APC, okay.
Yes, we are all in APC. And I contested, okay, and 8 other people contested. And then the APC national headquarters, led by Governor Adams Oshomole, they have their own interests. They wanted somebody to be at the helm of the affairs, to be the flag bearer of APC. And then the people, the stakeholders in Zamfara State wanted me to be the flag bearer. That is where the issues, the tussle started. At the NEC meeting of APC, NEC asked all the state chapter to go back and come back with their own resolution, with the form of primaries they want to conduct. Okay. Zamfara State opted for indirect primaries. Okay. A lot of states opted for indirect primaries. Some opted for direct primaries. So to our surprise, it was changed to direct primaries. We contested before, said, no, that was not what we wanted. But knowing that we have the majority of the people and the election is going to take place because nobody knew what was going to happen, that the way they handled it. Then we accepted for the direct primaries to be fair to all the other contestants. So on getting to Zamfara, we get ourselves prepared for the direct primaries. A team was sent to Zamfara.
From the national
headquarters, because that is the tradition. That is the
national headquarters of the
national
APC.
Headquarters sent a team of.
Who was the head?
Professor Abu Fari.
Okay, go ahead.
He was the one that headed that team that went to Zamfara to conduct the primaries. By tradition, any team that goes to any state to conduct any primaries, by tradition, they go to see the state governor. He will host them. They have interactive session. We look at it. They sit down with the stakeholders in the government house or in the party secretariat, whatever arrangement it is. But in our own case, because we have a lot of people that felt that the system is not going to be fair to them, so we accepted it in their own terms. Okay, choose a neutral ground so that where we can go, all of us, and sit down and have the stakeholders meeting and agree on the format to conduct that primaries. And the police headquarters was chosen, and we all went there. We had the Congress, where the stakeholders meeting, and we agreed that the primary school teachers and secondary school teachers are the ones to conduct the primaries and being supervised by that committee.
I also agree that the primary will be indirect?
Will be indirect. Okay. No, the primaries will be direct primaries. Direct primaries. Okay. So people will come out, any carrying member will come out and vote. So the primary started. In fact, most of the local governments have even concluded their primaries because 9 out of 14 local governments' result was already declared. So to our surprise, somebody called me from Abuja that what is happening in Zamfara, that the headquarters is going to cancel the primaries. I said, on what ground? Because the primaries has taken place and everything was fine and good. Because already 9 local governments was already declared. So by the time we went back to the police headquarters, we found out that those people that came to conduct the primaries had already left, that they were called upon in Abuja to come back. And so if you remember, this the same format that was used in Ogun and Imo State. And subsequently, they declared the people they wanted to be in that position declared. So because our own was a very tough one, they couldn't declare the person they wanted to be in that seat at that time. Okay. So we all came back to Abuja. There was a lot of complaints, counter-complaints and everything. They said, okay, they are going to send another team to go and man either to adopt the first primaries that was done or to do fresh primaries. Okay. So that team did not get to Zamfara until on the eve of the final day of the primaries. And when they got there, we are all there, and we are ready to go out and continue with the primaries. They came with the materials, and they said they are going to cancel the first one, and they are going to do a new primaries.
All in October 2018.
All in October 2018. So we were there, and they kept on delaying, prolonging, and nothing was forthcoming. So we came to realize that they are waiting for a directive from the national headquarters for them to go and conduct, because I confide with one of them. He said, we're just waiting for the national chairman to give us directives to go and conduct the primaries. Up to a certain hour, maybe I can't remember, that is 5 p.m. or 6 p.m. That's when we realized that these people...
On the day that the primary was supposed to
close. So then we took over the issue of the primaries. We went and continued from those places that was not conducted. Then we finished the primaries. Okay. So the primaries was actually done.
So why did the Supreme Court say that there were no primaries and declared that the PDP...
I'm coming to that. So when we finished that one, INEC witnessed all these primaries. Okay. And the time we're declaring, those results were being declared, INEC sent their representatives there. So immediately we went to court, because we know the national headquarters is not going to be fair to us. They say, okay, this primaries was actually done. And these are the people that witnessed these primaries. And every local government, there was INEC staff that witnessed the primaries that took place. So we went to court, and court gave us the mandate that the judgment actually took place, and INEC should include Zamfara in their primaries. And another court in Abuja, one of them went to another court, together with the former National Welfare Secretary, to challenge, to force INEC to accept their own candidate as the consensus candidate. Then that court said they are not going to accept candidate because of what transpired in Zamfara. So there was conflict. This court says APC will participate in the election, and another court says APC is not participating in the election. Then we went for for an appeal, interpretation and appeal. And the appeal court gave us the go-ahead to participate in the election.
So the appeal court accepted your primaries as having been duly held.
Duly held. And that's how we went into the election. It was on the eve of the election, of the presidential election, barely 6 or 8 hours before the general election, because I can remember the court session ended around 9 p.m. And the election was to start the next morning. And we went ahead, we participated in that election, and we won all our seats comfortably. So after winning the election, some of them still went to court to challenge the process of the primaries was done. That same court judgment that gave us the mandate, they appealed that judgment, that it was not, that they are not comfortable with that judgment. So that's when they went to the appeal court. And the appeal court gave a judgment that they set that judgment aside, but there was no interpretation. There was no consequential order on that one, even though I'm not a legal expert to interpret what the appeal court does.
Yeah, we don't have to go to the legal issues. You know, the two facts are out of this case now. Number one, in the end, the Supreme Court is the highest court in the land.
Exactly.
So whenever it rules, everyone has to obey. So even whether we're happy or you're happy or not, you're not happy, the law is the law, you know. So that one is there. But the issue is, how has that affected, how has that led us to this point where we are now? We're impeaching a governor, a deputy governor, and installing a new one, all on the same day.
So I was coming to you to that point.
Please.
So after this judgment in the appeal court, if you look at the general election in Zamfara, and if you look at the results, you will not be surprised of what is happening in Zamfara. Like in my own case, I was elected. I got 530-something thousand votes. The next person
across the state.
The next person nearest to my vote got 180-something thousand votes.
That's a PDP.
That's in PDP. So look at the difference. Look at the disparity. So, but based on the Supreme Court judgment, he was sworn in as the governor, somebody that barely got up to 20% of the total vote cast. So that alone is one of the issues that we are getting ourselves into this.
You mean that the governor feels that he doesn't have legitimacy because he's voted only by a tiny minority?
That is natural.
Okay.
Because everything anybody does, he feels threatened, because he feels, okay, God has given me this seat, and you are trying to take it away from me. You are challenging my power. You are challenging my. So he feels threatened for everything that breathes around him. So when he came into the government, the first thing they did was to remove all the party chairmen. If you can remember, the same process that the deputy governor was removed, it was the same process that the party chairmen were removed. They said they find them guilty of participating with the banditry. Within hours after removing them, they instated some of them that agreed to follow them in PDP and impeached those that did not follow them in PDP. So I was not surprised when I see this impeachment, because it's the same trend.
So initially, majority of the governors, for the benefit of our viewers throughout the country, because it's not everyone who is familiar with Zamfara politics like you and I, so for that reason, when the Governor Bello Matawali, when he came in 2019, you are saying that majority of the chairmen of the local government were APC at that time.
When he came,
whereas he was a PDP governor.
Before he came into government, everything was APC. So when he came
State Assembly
chairman, councillors, everything was APC, because we won our election 100%. There's no seat that PDP won or any other system. So when he came into the government, State Assembly were PDP, because all the APC were disqualified, and the seat
across the board.
So the chairman and their councillors, 147 councillors, were all APC. So he tried to woo most of them to come back to PDP for him to have the comfort of governance. It's natural. Any governor that comes in this situation would like to he would like to get this elected
majority of the
to be on his side. So he tried all he could to get them to his side. So some of them agreed to follow him, and some of them resisted. So the matter was taken to State Assembly. It was the same manner that the deputy governor was impeached and they were impeached. The same day the matter was taken to the assembly. Before. It has happened. So it was not surprised. Those that in Zamfara were not surprised with the trend, the way the deputy governor was impeached.
Okay.
So that's the same way the chairman were impeached. So when the issue of the deputy governor came, so when he decamped to APC, and the deputy governor refused to follow him to APC. So those that can predict the political scenario, they saw this thing happening.
So they saw that at some point he will have to join the,
the
camp to APC?
Yes,
or?
To me, it's more political than any other thing. It's more political. Even though the matter is before court, I don't want to say too much about it because I know there's a competent court of law that says they should maintain status quo and nobody should do anything until after the determination of the case.
In other words, you are saying that the impeachment is illegal?
According to what the law says, I think I'm not a legal expert, but I believe so.
You believe that the impeachment is illegal?
Yeah, I believe so.
That's interesting, but we will come back to that later. But then what about the other issues in this impeachment case? Because for most Nigerians, particularly on social media, on that day, they were interested in how come you have impeached a governor the same day. A deputy governor the same day. We're not even looking at whether it was right
or wrong,
or whether the deputy governor
was guilty,
is guilty or not guilty, because some of these issues can only be determined by a court. So we're not even going into that. But people were talking about the speed with which the impeachment was executed. That you impeach somebody today, you get another nomination for his replacement that very day. You screen that person that very day. You confirm that person that very day. Swear him into office that very day. What does that say about the process?
Well, the whole thing is, if you look at what happened to the chairman, like I said earlier, it's almost the same thing. The chairman were not given fair hearing because they took the matter to State Assembly, and they were not even invited to defend themselves. They just had the first hearing, second reading, and the next thing, they were all impeached. So in this situation, they constituted a panel of inquiry to investigate him. And the law says they have up to 90 days to do the matter. But that thing didn't last up to a week within the Commission of Inquiry. And after they finished, they submitted their report. Immediately they submitted their report, the report was read, accepted, adopted, and impeachment motion was raised, and they voted for him to be impeached, and immediately he got impeached. Within that same hour, the nomination of the deputy governor came, and they screened the deputy governor, and they accepted. So if you look at the process, the whole thing didn't last for maybe 2-3 hours. So not only people outside Zamfara, even them, the State Assembly people, if you call a few people that we talk to, how comes, what happened? They can't even explain to you how that thing happened with that kind of speed. So that's why I said, because of the speed the way it goes and the way the whole process was done, it's more political to me than any other thing.
But impeachment is generally not a legal process. It's mainly a political process, always. It is always driven by politics first, before people consider the legal matters. Now, one of the political issues the deputy governor mentioned is that if he had agreed to join the PDP, to decamp back to the APC with the governor, then the impeachment would not have happened. They would have just accepted him as a brother and would have been happy with him. What does that say about the impeachment? Does it then mean that it is a sort of witch hunt, or it is not a proper impeachment?
If you look at, I always refer this case back to what happened to the chairman. Those that agreed to follow him in PDP were immediately installed, reinstated, and sworn in as sole administrators.
The chairman, who were APC members?
APC members, 14 of them. 5 of them declined to follow him. The remaining ones that followed him to PDP were immediately given the position of sole administrator, and they are sworn in to continue with their respective duties. Those that refused to follow him were flushed out. So that makes the argument of the deputy governor valid, that if he had joined him, he wouldn't have been impeached. Because those that followed him in PDP, the chairman, were instated. Those that refused to follow him were impeached.
So those who were the chairman, because you keep giving this example, and it's quite relevant because it's in the same state, and
in politics,
the same set of issues.
Exactly. People, everything you do today will tell you, if somebody does something today, you can predict what he's going to do tomorrow. Then you just look at
based on what he did yesterday
and what he's doing today. You can predict what he's going to do tomorrow. So that's why we're able to look at, okay, since this is the trend he has taken, so I'm not surprised he's taking this one. And we can predict the next line of action he will do for another thing politically.
Thank you. So, but the chairman of local government who were removed because they refused to follow him to the PDP, you know, the APC chairman that were removed for refusing to follow the governor, then in a PDP to, what was their offenses? What offenses were they removed for? Because the deputy governor is removed for a specific set of offenses, including criminal enrichment using public funds, including not discharging his public duties, you know, including also...
they are virtually the same allegations against them.
Okay.
Don't discharging their duties, criminal offenses, and confiding with bandits. These are one of the allegations that was not part of the deputy governors, but it was part of the chairman's. But it was virtually almost the same thing that happened. But they were not given fair hearing because they were not called upon to defend themselves in the State Assembly. But they were impeached. They went to court and the matter is still in court, so I'm sure maybe one day somehow something will come out of it.
Hopefully. So where is the example, the similarity between this and that is good, but yet you have a panel, you know, constituted by...
That is the major difference. Okay. This one, he was given, that panel was constituted, but he didn't appear before the panel.
Yes.
I'm not fully aware whether, I'm sure the panel must have invited him.
At least in the news, it's not known that he appeared before panel.
No,
at least in the news.
In the news,
we know in the news.
He didn't go to the panel.
Yes.
But I'm sure I expect the panel to invite him. So for not appearing in the panel, he has his own reasons, which I don't know. I'm not here to defend him. I'm not here to prove
True.
It's true. So it's for him to answer this. But I'm sure panel must have invited him. Whether he was there or not, it's not something that I can see precisely. But the chairman were not given that opportunity. But he was given the opportunity to defend himself. So maybe the papers and documents that were presented before them, that was what they used to find him guilty because there were 3 allegations, but they found him guilty on one of the allegations, which the State Assembly is enough to get him impeached.
Okay.
But the other 2, I think the panel did not find him guilty on that.
Okay. Which one did they say he was guilty
I didn't follow to know which
precisely.
Which one okay. Yes, because I know they said 1 out of the 3 he was guilty, and that is enough to get him impeached.
Okay. So in general, would that have been enough? Say, for example, even though they didn't say which particular ones, but we know that before that there were a sort of back and forth between the governor and the deputy governor and their supporters. You know, for example, some people accusing the governor of 31 billion, what do you call, missing, to explain what he has done with 31 billion security vote, but also the people from the side of the governor accusing the deputy governor also to answer for certain funds. Does it mean that that's what Zamfara governance has come down to, that the governor and the deputy governor are trading words about who has taken what that belongs to the public?
You know, if you look at the way we handled our finances when we were in government, I was the Commissioner of Finance for some time, and I know what we get and the projects that were executed during our time. It was so transparent. We executed so many projects during our time. Yard was able to build a lot of roads, which...
The Yard is facing cases of allegations of corruption.
All former governors are facing cases.
Okay.
All of them. Because anything you do in the government, somewhere, somehow, somebody will find something in it and take it. It's just allegation. You go there and defend yourself. There are cases where EFCC will invite you. By the time you go there, you shed more light to them. In fact, we have some cases where EFCC recommend for the upward review of the contractors, because they invited experts to go and look at those projects that were executed and look at what is outstanding for those contractors. Maybe after taking too much time, he said, at this point now, if you want them to continue, you have to review these contracts upward. So we have a lot of cases that EFCC are reviewing, not only Zamfara.
Including that of Governor areas one.
Excluding that of Governor. It's normal. It's normal. Once you finish the government, you have to, that is one of the things. That's why anything you're doing in the government, you just have to be careful. Because sooner or later, you have to answer questions to all those things you have done in the state. I was Commissioner of Finance. I've been there. I've answered a lot of questions, things that I was in the office, and things that even I was not in the office, but because of the virtue of my position, I have to go and shed more light.
And answer for them.
Exactly. Okay. So many projects were done, and all the loans we took from the government, from the banks, they are very, very clear. If you take this loan, this is the project we're doing with that loan. If we get funds, let's say the Paris Club refund that we got, everybody knows what we did with that money. So any money that comes to the Zamfara state during our time, it has a specific project. That's why we are able to give farmers fertilizer at the initial at 1,000 naira. We are able to build all these roads that were built in Zamfara. I think they are in the tune of about 1,000 something kilometers. And we are able to build 20-kilometer routes in all the local governments. And all the local government, we are able to build schools, hospitals, so many things. Okay. So that's why even after we left office, all these allegations were not coming the way it is. But in this government, so many things had happened, and you look at the loan that was taken maybe from the local government, about 30 billion naira was taken. Not a single project that we can see. I don't know, because I didn't go into their books and see what they have done with the money. But physically, we cannot see anything that was done with the money. So if they start trading words between themselves, where have you taken this money, where have you taken that money, it's not surprising, because there's nothing to show within this period. Since they assumed office to this, you are a media person, you have your own yardstick that you judge all the states. I'm sure the level in the Zamfara state is quite alarming and it's quite disturbing.
Thank you. One of the levels for which we are judging Zamfara state in the media is particularly not just now, but also not just this present government, but also previous governments, particularly that of your ally Governor as well. That's the scale, the rising scale of insecurity in Zamfara state. Because that day on social media, people, when the deputy governor was impeached so fast, a lot of people were saying, if only
security matter was handled
handled with this level of efficiency, with this level of seriousness, then maybe that will be a thing of the past in Zamfara state. So what's going on?
The issue of security in Zamfara state started way back, even before we came into the government. And we tried as much as possible to contain it to the level we were able to. And even when Yari left government, those bandits were really cornered at the point of total elimination. So when this government came, everybody has his own way and policies of doing things. I'm not blaming him for, maybe that was, at that point, that was what they thought would bring solution to it. Then they gave them amnesty. That was the beginning of the escalation. Because if you give them amnesty, that means they have the right, because Zamfara is bordering Kebbi, Niger, Kaduna, Katsina, Kano, and Niger Republic. So all these spaces, that Zamfara is bordering these areas. And we have a thick forest around Anka, Olusun, which is bordering most of these places. So what they normally do is they go out of Zamfara. Okay, since we have amnesty in Zamfara, we are not going to operate in Zamfara for some time. We go out of Zamfara, we go to maybe Niger or Kaduna. Because that was the beginning of the problem of Kaduna and Niger. Because they go out of Zamfara, they operate there, and they come back. So if the security forces there chase them, they come back where they have amnesty, and they're going to be attacked there.
So Zamfara became a sort of
safe haven.
A safe
haven for most of the bandits. We've not experienced kidnapping before, but that was the time the kidnapping started, because somebody predicted it, that by the time these cattle rustlers finish clearing all the cattle in the bushes, they will start kidnapping. At that point, we didn't take it serious, because we thought, how come? Kidnapping that happened in the southern part, our people are not that advanced to go into the kidnapping. But look at what is happening now. So Zamfara became the safe haven. Even Governor of Kaduna State said it several times. He said most of the bandits attacking him are from Zamfara. So it's not that the people of Zamfara are the ones attacking him. No, because they have safe haven there. So by the time the government realizes that this amnesty is not working, it was too late, because they were well armed, they were able to regroup. And all those bandits living in other states, they say, okay, we have a place now. We can call our own.
So including those who are not part of the amnesty, they can come once
because the amnesty cannot work.
Did not specify which.
No, the problem is as the name implies, bandits. They are not some people that have uniform or they have specific identity. They are just there. They are just thugs. So one can be leader today, and the next day another one can just decide and kill him and take over the leadership because they don't have rules, they don't have banners, they don't have anything, they don't have. I don't know how to describe them. You know what I'm trying to say. So these people are just there. So if we have like 10 groups of bandits before, because of the amnesty, then we started having several groups. Those that operated in Katsina before, like Dogo Gede and all of them, they have all moved back to Zamfara because Zamfara have this amnesty that they have. And unfortunately, maybe Zamfara, Katsina state government too, gave them this amnesty. So those axes became a free flow for them. So they can easily operate in the highways, come back, and this. So most of the ones operating even between Kaduna and Kano, most of them are from those bushes.
It's interesting.
So that's why it's increasing. It's increasing day by day. So the federal government, they are sending more and more troops. The state government now is spending a lot of money to control that thing. But the problem is they have a lot of ammunition, which is they are matching our armies. If the same ammunition our armies are using is the same thing.
I think we can continue with this because the discussion is on the Zamfara governorship. It's interesting how it has led us to this. Issues about bandits, but you are saying something significant that most people will be interested in, about how we have come here with the security situation in Zamfara State. We will have an opportunity, for example, to continue on that track. For example, what the bandits themselves say. They accuse the state governments, including your state government. I mean, your government, that of Governor Yari and that of Governor Bello Mutawalina, of not fulfilling the promises or the words that you gave to them. So that's why they intensify their own attacks on innocent people. But before you get a chance to answer that, we will take 1 minute's break. When we return, we'll be discussing more on the politics of impeachment in Zamfara State. Stay with us.
This is Trust TV, documenting the Nigeria.
Welcome back. This is Daily Politics on Trust TV. If you are just joining us, you can follow us on all our social media handles, including Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, and of course, Instagram. We were talking about the impeachment proceedings that happened last week in Zamfara State with Mukhtar Shehu Idris, who incidentally was a one-time governor-elect in the state. Is it even correct to call you governor-elect?
Yes, I was governor-elect.
Okay.
Because I was given certificate of return.
Okay.
INEC has certified. I have fulfilled all the constitutional requirements to be called governor-elect. So when Supreme Court say they voided my victory, then it became something else.
So what do your friends call you now?
It's
former governor elect?
So it's something because I'm one of my kind.
It doesn't have precedence.
Exactly.
In the country.
I'm one of my kind. Maybe I have Leon, who's from Bayelsa. We are just two now. So anytime people say, we call you former governor-elect or former this thing, you can just call me Mukhtar. That's because I'll always be Mukhtar.
It's all right.
Exactly.
Yeah. Thank you. So part of the people were saying that what led to that itself, which also in turn led to where we are now with the impeachment, is the politics of the APC under Governor Yari, with whom you were allied at that time in Zamfara State. That he was he closed all the spaces to everyone. That even which led to the formation of the group of 8 in the state, which then encouraged, lots of people to go to court,
ending into the vitiation of your victory, as you called it earlier?
Well, let me just make something clear. The impression that Yari closed everything to himself is not true. Because I know it was not Yari alone that sat down in his comfort of his living room and said, this is the person that's going to lead the party. I know a lot of stakeholders were involved. Yerima was involved in this. In fact, let me even tell you, before even myself and Yari discussed about my candidature, it was Yerima, Senator Yerima, that first told me.
Who was the godfather of
Zamfara
politics.
State. He was the one that first told me that I am one of the people that are being considered to be elected. The first time he told me that, I was not even appointed as commissioner for the second time. I can tell you this one, I was in Saudi in the Arafat, where he called me, between me, myself, and God. He swore to me that he is going to support my candidature, the way he see my relationship with Yari, and they want to bring the governorship to the central, and they want to bring it specifically to Gusau. And they want somebody from a respected family to head the affairs of the state, that he is going to support me. In fact, he gave me some prayers to be doing. And he promised me that he was going to help me with some prayers to make sure we actualize this
what changed?
dream. Up to the point that the Supreme Court took away my mandate, nothing changed, because he still pretends that he was supporting me.
Why did you say he was pretending?
Because he worked against it.
Okay.
It was vividly clear he worked against it. He was the one that formed even G8. It was not that all of them came together. He was the one that formed the G8. He was the one behind the G8. So
but
I don't
maybe
want to...
the G8 itself was informed by the behavior of your camp subsequent to that time. You know,
well, I don't want to go too much.
You were handpicked, it was said. You're familiar with that, that you were handpicked.
If I was handpicked,
okay.
Primaries was conducted.
Okay.
People came out to vote for it. Channel TV was there to cover the program. It was there. It was vividly clear. People voted for me. Even if I was handpicked and people were not happy with my candidature, it would have manifested in the general election. But look at the result I got. I got 99,000 votes more than the president. The president gets...
In the state?
In the state.
Okay.
The votes I got, APC presidential candidate didn't get them, because I got 99,000 votes, more than President Buhari. So people voted for me more than even the president. So it's very rare in most of the northern states that you see a gubernatorial candidate getting more votes than the president. Look at how popular the president is. So to tell you, I was a very, very popular candidate. So the issue of me being handpicked was not the issue.
Okay. So now that you have the governor in your party, which is the bone of contention between him and the deputy governor who was just impeached from the state, what if maybe what does that mean to the APC in the party? Because you now have many different camps within the APC, and we're moving towards not just a presidential election, but a general election.
Yes.
So what does that mean for the APC now?
Well, we are going to test our strength, and we know we are very much on the ground, and APC is our party, and all the faithful of APC are our people. And we are going to test our ground, and I'm sure if it's going to be free and fair, we're going to defeat whoever stands our way. I'm telling you that.
You're talking about two very serious things now. Yeah. Number one, you're going to defeat somebody at a primary election. And then two, you're going to defeat somebody at a general election, if I get you clear.
Yeah.
So how is that going to happen when you have a sitting governor in the APC who is in a different faction as yourself? The
issue of the faction is going to be addressed before the primaries. I'm sure it's going to be addressed before the primaries. It's going to be addressed before the primaries. The worst case, we are going to do direct primaries, because we have the president just signed electoral law into act. We have direct, indirect, and consensus. So if the consensus cannot hold, which I'm sure in Zamfara is not going to hold, the indirect primaries cannot hold, because if his faction, we are not going to agree for his faction to conduct the primaries, and he is not going to agree for our faction to conduct the primaries, then we have another option, which is direct primaries. That means every card-carrying member of APC will cast his vote to choose the person they want to carry the flag of the party. And that is why the battle starts.
And that's why you feel that you have confidence.
We have absolutely
even though he has 20, we just said earlier in the intro that about 22 of the 24 members of the State Assembly supported him. Wouldn't this also be those who are going to vote as well, and then their
You said
supporters
direct,
as well?
when you talk about direct primaries,
Then it's everybody else.
It's every card-carrying member. So if it's card-carrying members that are going to vote in Zamfara, I bet you we're going to take the ticket.
But if it is not?
This is going to be, because you have to agree, because we are stakeholders too. So you cannot just sit down and in the room and say, okay, indirect primaries, and you choose his faction. That will lead to another crisis. So the best thing to do is for them to conduct direct primaries in Zamfara, so that whoever is interested in any position, people will line up and choose their own leader.
That's interesting. Yeah. So beyond that, what about what Zamfara might mean then to the national election? Because you have not only in Zamfara, you have quite a number of states where the APC appears to be divided, particularly, most perniciously in the Northwest. You just heard recently that in Sokoto State, a different faction, the Wamako faction, and then another Senator Shehu Gada, I think, faction also have another. So what would all of this mean to the presidential election for the APC, particularly now that you must have a presidential candidate by June this year, which is just in a few months from now?
Yeah, the good thing about it is there are going to be a party convention in the next few weeks. And we hope that during the party convention that good leaders will be elected who will sit down and address all these issues squarely, because it's a very, very big challenge for APC. So these issues must be addressed. It's almost everywhere they have this issue of factions. We have more than 19 court cases. In various states across the country. More than 19 states are in court. So if you look at all these things, they need to have a very strong and vibrant leadership who can bring people on board to sit down and address all these issues. It's very simple, because all these things is black and white.
Okay.
The only thing that people want is for you to be honest and to be truthful and be transparent in everything you do.
But is there such a thing in Nigerian politics?
It can happen.
Okay.
Because if you sit down and people cannot agree, say, okay, let's go and let people decide. That is it. If you believe that you have the people to vote for you, then you have nothing to fear. But if you insist on something, then there's something that you're afraid of to happen. So all these things need to be addressed. That's why I said we need a very vibrant and very agile leadership that can address all these issues, because we have just a few weeks. Immediately after the convention, we have barely maybe a few weeks before we start going into the primaries. So if we have crisis in the convention and it escalates to the primaries.
By saying agile politics, you're of course referring to the candidacy of your boss, Governor Yari. So where is that one now? To what extent is he, how far or how close is he in picking up the chairmanship of the APC?
Well, we are still waiting and see how the party come out with the zoning formula. If the zoning only says in the north, he has a very good chances, because I know everybody knows him. He's a very, very determined, effective leader, and he's very aggressive when it comes to the issue of politics. And he's very agile. He's still young. He's in his early 50s, so he has a lot of energy in him, and he's a very party faithful. He has been in ANPP from the inception of this. So he has so many things that works for him. But if they narrow it to a particular zone, northeast, north central, then that's what we are watching now. That's why I don't want to say much about it until the zoning is out. And I'm sure the governors and all the stakeholders are working around the clock to make sure this zoning is done effectively. If it's not going to work, then they throw most of the seats on the floor and let everybody feel.
But most people are saying that it's no longer a question of if, but when. That the zoning has already been done and the party chair has been zoned to the north central. And not just that a candidate has been unpicked by the president himself. And you know what I am talking about.
I know what you're talking about. But
thank you. So
a few days later, another media will come out and deny it. So
far, no media has come out and denied it.
Yeah, I saw it last, is it 2-3 days ago? That one is a Tribune or one of them that came out to deny that presidency has denied endorsing a particular candidate, that everything is open for contest. So that's why we are saying we are watching and we are distant. Whatever party decides, we are party faithful, we agree to it. Because the success of the party, that is our primary target. So if the party the crisis in the party, because if we don't have the national, the ESCO in national, if there's so much crisis there, it's going to affect the general election, it's going to affect all the states. So it's better let us have a working national party. Let them address all these issues that we have in the state. Because what is happening in Sokoto, Kebbi, Zamfara, Kano, and other places, it's only if you have those strong leadership in the center that can get these things addressed.
Precisely why people are saying that strong person is Senator Abdullah Adamu and not Governor Yari.
It's only the issue of the zoning.
Okay.
But if they throw it off the floor, then we allow the party faithful to choose, because the delegates will choose who they feel is more competent to lead the party. They are both experienced. They are both two-time governors. He was a senator for some time. So both of them are very good, and I'm sure people will decide who they feel should carry the leadership of the party if they throw it on the floor.
So maybe we go back to where we started in Zamfara State. You know, we're looking at the politics around this impeachment. What happens to this deputy governor now, the new deputy governor now? What is there any chance? Do you see any chance that he's going to endure as deputy governor, or is there a possibility that tomorrow the court will declare his position illegal and then he will have to leave, or what's going to happen?
You know, in politics, this was one of the things that you have to face in politics. Sometimes you find yourself in a very tight corner and a dilemma. You have to take a decision. Me personally, I was surprised to see a sitting governor, a sitting senator,
yes,
leaving his seat as a sitting senator to go and take over the seat of the deputy governor. He has his own reasons for doing that, but I'm surprised, and I'm still trying to find out the motive and what even transpired and what even made him to take that decision. Because two things happened here. One, you're already representing people, even if you are not elected.
As a senator.
You are representing people. Now that seat is vacant. Zamfara is suffering because somebody has left that place vacant. And the next election is going to take place. It's going to take 3 or 4 months before that election is going to take place. So Zamfara, for that period, we are not getting representation. That is one. Two, by-election has to take place, which is going to be a burden on the party, on the people, and on the government, financially, morally, a lot of things. That is secondly. And thirdly, this issue of the impeachment and even you being the deputy governor has a lot of legal issues in it. So it's a big gamble. It's a big gamble. But like I said, he has his own reasons for doing it. I'm trying to give him benefit of doubt to know why that decision was taken. Because I know him personally. Yeah. It's like a brother to me. I know him personally. You know him. Yes, I know him very well. We are distantly related, but he's like a brother to me. And I always respect his decision in some aspects. But this one, I'm trying to know why he took that decision.
Thank you. So the Governor Bello Mutawale camp, if we, as we get closer to the primaries, because whatever happens by June, by this time, 3 months from now, we will just be about knowing who's going to be the flag bearer of the state, you know. And he's just finishing his first term. Yeah. So he's very much in the race as well.
Yes.
Know? And you were just about to start your first time. So you're still also very much in the race. What do you see that race looking like between now and then afterwards?
It's going to be very tough. It's going to be very tight. But like I said, if they are going to be, if they are going to play by the book, definitely we're going to defeat him.
What if they don't play by the book? Because not playing by the book is
if you don't play by the book, then we go back to where we are. Okay. Court cases will start erupting, and Zamfara has suffered enough from that. We don't want to find ourselves in that situation again, because we have suffered enough. Because if we are going to go back, all this issue of litigations is going to have a lot of distraction. Even him, when he came to the power, he has a lot of distractions because he faced tribunal up to the Supreme Court. There were a lot of hot cases because one of the tribunal cases was challenging his constitutional requirement to become governor, because the constitution said you must have 25%, where you must have 1/3 of the local government and 25% of the votes. So the 25% of votes of 1/3 of the local government, which he doesn't have. He had 18%, which is now up to 25%, and he had only 6 out of 14
I have
local
to say
government.
that in general, the INEC has grown so strong in Nigeria now that in terms of improvement in the quality of elections they deliver to Nigerian people. It's not that they are perfect. It's not that they don't have issues. But my own thinking is once you see someone occupying an office, it is because they have won that election fairly and it can stand the test in the courts. So let's give the governor his position.
No. Okay. The point I was trying to make was he got distracted because of that tribunal case.
Okay, I see. At the beginning.
Thereafter, there was review. That one got him distracted too. And now he has a lot of cases like this, moving from PDP to APC is in the court, like dissolution of our party, handing over to him is in the court. So he has a lot of court cases before him. So it's a lot of distraction.
So how does that affect governance? Suppose you, by chance, by luck, maybe it's been written that you will be governor of
That was why I said...
What are you going to do different?
That's why I said, if you play by the book, all these things are avoidable. Okay. But if you don't do that, then all these things will keep on occurring. Like the dissolution of our party. Mala went to Zamfara to accept Bello Matawale as APC member. On the podium, he said he has dissolved all APC ESCO in Zamfara, which he doesn't have power to do that. That's why our own group went to the court to challenge that dissolution, which is distraction to the governor. Because if by tomorrow or next week, the judgment is out and the judgment says, this faction are the authentic leaders of the party, then Matawale is on the ground as well.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mukhtar Shehu Idris. It's been nice speaking to you about the politics of impeachment and all sundry politics in Zamfara State.
Thank you very much, Mr.
Hopefully we get to meet again on this program.
Yes.
Thank you also, viewers, for staying with us as we go through yet another edition of Daily Politics. We hope that you will be here when we return tomorrow with another guest and another issue on politics, policy, and governance. Do meet us. Do keep at that with us. Thank you and good night. I am Suleiman.